you doing, guys? Welcome back to Coffee and Juice. So every once in a while, I'll stamp out regarding Thailand. I hold, a Thai Elite visa. Technically, I don't have to leave. I have to report online, but sometimes I'm too lazy to do that. And also, it kind of motivates me to go to other regions and kind of break it up, a little bit of the monotony. I kind of say taking a break from taking a break. So we're in here in Indonesia, Bali, more specifically Canggu. I've been here a multitude of times, and what I want to do today, it's kind of my last day of kind of reassessing and evaluating the charm of Bali and also some of the chaos that could go on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to chronologically break down from booking your flight, negotiating the airport, etc. And I'll try to give you an overview and try to make things a little easier for you if you look to come down to this region. So one of the things that are going to be important, obviously, you're going to look into when rainy season is or when it isn't. But one thing I found out, and it was recent, is that the last couple of times that I went to DPS is that it was pretty much a cluster. And also what happened is that there were so many people and the organization of the airport was terrible. But since I came back this time, I thought it was done a lot better. And also they renovated their entry system, which makes it easier for you if you're going to get a entry on arrival. So one of the things that worked out, and it was totally by a coincidence, is the airport was a breeze. And one of the contributing factors for that is that I booked a 6:30 a.m. arrival in Indonesia/Bali. So basically that means you got to get up at 3 in the morning. You would save a little bit of money. But what it was is that you're the first flight that's touching down in that airport, and it pretty much was a ghost town. And also you have to realize that if it's later on in the day, what happens is that a lot of times these flights get delayed. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. I was coming from Bangkok. So realize if you want to kind of get ahead of things and you want things to be a little bit more pleasurable, the earliest that you can touch down in that airport, I was in and out within about maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So what you're going to do is that you're going to, get your on arrival visa. But a lot of mistake that people will make is that you go right to the where you're going to pick your luggage up from. So now, one thing you have to do is that when you walk in, off to the right, there's going to be computers that are in front of you that are going to basically ask where you're staying, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're someone who gets your luggage first, and this is an unbeknownst fact to you, what'll happen is, because obviously it's happened to me in the past, is you're basically, possibly going to be waiting on a line. Like I said, if you didn't book 100% correctly, and you could have been waiting like an hour to get out, and then they're going to turn you back around and say that you need this and that, which is where the computers are going to be. So it's going to be the computers first, luggage second. They'll scan you out. Now this is where things get a little tricky. So now if it's your first time touching down, you got through the airport. So now some of you are like, you know what, I got to change out some of this money. But hold on and just listen to this idea, because this has been learned. So now, the ATMs, obviously they could be safe, they could not, but that's not really the point. There's only going to be a limited amount of money that you can take out from these particular ATMs. So that could be an issue. Obviously, there's going to be a service fee. But secondary to that is going to be, you might be inclined to take whatever money you have from whatever region you hail from, and you want to do an exchange, because there's going to be a multitude of them kind of aggressively soliciting you to come in. I did that. They crush you, just like when I went to Barcelona, Spain. You really get nothing for your money. So what I recommend is that you're going to download, because this is going to be your next step chronologically, is you're going to download something called a Grab app or a Gojek app. It depends on where you come from, which would be more popular for you. So you're going to put your credit card as a way of purchasing what's going to come next, which is going to be your transportation from the airport to whatever villa or condo or hotel that you're staying in. But now what's going to happen is going to be this. So now what you're going to face, and like I said, if it's your first time touching down, is that, you negotiated your 4.5 hour flight, and you're going to come out of the airport, and you're basically going to be swarmed by what they call the taxi mafia out in Indonesia. Everyone's going to approach you. Hey, grab, give me a job. It's going to be overwhelming to you. So what you're going to do, as nice as possible, depending on your demeanor, you're going to say, no, 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 I have a taxi coming. And you're going to look to go to the Grab Lounge or the Gojek Lounge. So what's going to happen is you're going to go there. You're going to punch in whatever your address or destination is. You're going to wait. You're going to verify, obviously, the plate. And then you're going to go to your hotel or, like I said, final destination. Because if not, you run the risk. I always talk about safety and awareness, is that you don't know where these people are taking you. It's a poor country. And it just basically cuts many, many steps financially, because then a lot of times they could take you for a ride and be like, no, 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 because you cashed out money, and then things get tricky. The cleanest way for you to do this is basically you're going to run the apps. The apps are excellent out here. Usually, unless, we'll get into the traffic in a little bit, is that usually the cars are spot on. They're very nice. They speak English for the most part. So just keep that in mind, is that chronologically, how you sequence getting to Bali/Indonesia, these are the finer points that are going to save you a lot of stress and a lot of headaches. So now that logistically we're trying to break this down step by step, you're going to get to your destination, and now obviously you're going to need some money in your pocket or some IDR. So the recommendations I have: any electronic system could be hacked, any tech could be hacked, but you're basically going to look for an ATM that's in a glass enclosure, like Money Bank or BNI or BRI are the popular ATMs you will see down here. So you're going to look to get your money out of there, obviously follow whatever, safety protocols you have regarding, getting some money and putting it in your pocket. So normally, just to backtrack a little bit, coming from the airport, which is in, Den Spar or DPS, and if you're going to go to Canggu, once again, intelligently, I can't speak about Seminyak. I'm only really kind of focusing on, Canggu, Bali. So it's going to take you 40 minutes to about an hour and 10 minutes from point A to point B regarding getting to your destination in Canggu. Just keep that in mind, just in case you set up some type of appointment, you wanted to hit the ground running, etc., etc. That's the time that it takes. So regarding overall logistics, this is what we got, kind of door to door, once again. So now, trying to understand what the allure to Canggu or Bali is, I like to say that it has its charm, but then at the same time it has its chaos. So the way we'll break this down is I'll start with the positive first, which if you follow the channel, I normally don't do. So what you have here is that arguably, and we could sit down, Southeast Asia and anywhere else in the world, whatever, if you, obviously drop your comments if you disagree. There's a concentration or collection of some of the most beautiful people in the world, and the age range, as opposed to, let's say, Patheos, where I'm based, is that it's from about 21 till around 40 is who is going to be concentrated in this region, male and female. Now, whatever you tend to do when you come down here, I only can speak for myself. Like I said, if you watch the channel, I'm a little bit of a hermit. I'm almost 50 years old. So my concentration is trying to be as fit as possible, train as much as possible regarding Muay Thai, hitting the gym. And that's really my life. I kind of did my party days But down in Bali, as I look around, some of the signs, and I know the clubs or the lounges, it's probably one of the best places to party regarding, if you have an expat community. And the concentrations, obviously, you got the Russians, you got the Australians, you got the British, you have Americans. This is what you get down in this region. And now the charm of that is that you have going out. I would say that if you want to become super fit, Bali is the place to do it, because they have paddle, yoga, many open air gyms. You got the plunges, you got the MMA, you got the Muay Thai, if you know where to look. So if you wanted to get fit, Bali is the place to do it. There is no doubt about it. So just getting into the charm of what this place could be, you got, people get angry, and we'll get into the chaos that, oh, it's all influencers down there. So listen, whatever people tend to do, the internet is undefeated. Social media. I usually gym hop when I'm down here. And I went to one gym. I'll leave it out because I thought it was a really good gym. I felt like I was tripping over tripods. It was crazy. Not that I cared. I felt that whoever had the tripod out on this particular day, I thought it was well warranted. They had the ability or capability of putting themselves on camera. I thought they looked good, male, female. That's just me being honest. So that was that. So just to get into a little bit more things that are positive, is that your money does go a longer way out here. Obviously, if you're going to do upscale things, the people that run the businesses out here are probably foreigners, so they know how to kind of scale it where you're paying a modern price. But at the same time, it's still going to be slightly cheaper. Me personally, I only feel that a week in Bali is enough. But some of you just want to come out here and live. You want to do your digital nomad thing, etc. Everyone has their own situation, and that's fine. But for me, it's a week. Then I stamp back in regarding Thailand. Thailand overall. Now, I would say this is a correction that I'm probably going to make on the spot. I'm going to say Thailand is cheaper, but you have to consider Thailand is a big country. As I put it into juxtaposition, is that Phuket, same as Bali. Phuket got more expensive, more crowded. Pattaya is obviously cheaper than most places. Then if you went to a place like Udon Thani, which is in the sticks, that would be cheaper than Pattaya. So there's different levels, and it depends on your finances on what makes the most sense to you. So just to give you a little bit more of an overview, how's the weather in Bali? Obviously, this is tropical. You see the palm trees, you see the background. But the weather is extremely variable, meaning that every time I've been down here, the sun kind of pokes out through the clouds. There's variability on how much it rains. It does rain quite often. So if you're someone who's going to be like, you know what, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to get browned out, the sun's always out, I would argue that I've been down here, all different times, and you would be hard pressed for that sun to come out for a couple of minutes, and then it dips back in for probably double the time. So just keep in mind, like, if you're coming out here and like, you know what, I want to get married out in Bali, I'm talking to the ladies, because you have this idea, I would say that would be very, very hard to do, or very dangerous, because you basically could get washed out. I would not recommend this at all for a wedding / honeymoon. We addressed some of the charms of Bali, but now let's get into some of the chaos that can occur. Obviously, if you follow, Canggu, Bali, the traffic basically is probably around 3 times worse than Bangkok, if you know the region. And the reason why is that the roads are more narrow. There's really a lack of infrastructure. Even if you walk down the street, you'll see huge holes in the ground. I did a short, if you want to check that out. So you keep yourself safe. And I feel like if you fell down one of these holes, it's pretty much a wrap. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind, that some of the chaos here is that you could get hurt. If you're a new person trying to, negotiate a motorbike, you see some of these clips of people like all bandaged up. Definitely not for the weak. So The traffic, it could take you, I mean, just going maybe a couple of miles, a couple of kilometers, basically like you could be stuck in, traffic for an hour and a half, depending on the time of the day. So I would schedule that wisely, depending on what your plans are. So now some other things to consider, obviously most of my fan base is male, is the adult entertainment. Let's talk about that. So obviously things are more expensive out here as opposed to Thailand. And this is a Muslim country. So you're going to notice that the vibe is a little bit more reserved when it comes to that. Obviously in every region of every world, there's all these things. But I'm sure if you hop on Reddit and you put in your little search, there's a lot of solid information, and it's also up to date. You know me, I have to come out here and I have to verify or validate what people are doing. So another thing you want to consider is that the motorbike mafia, right? They're going to be very aggressive with you. Even though, like, these people see me walk down the street all the time, and they still ask if I need a ride. But they like, so obviously the economy, these people are on the hustle, and so that's another thing to consider. Is that there could be, like, I go back to the taxi mafia. There's also the motorbike. They have a tendency to be aggressive, like they want to take you somewhere, but like you really just want to walk. So, like I said, when it comes to the adult entertainment, it's out here. It's probably like, if it comes to dollar amount, it would be double on what you would pay in Thailand. All right. But obviously things are variable, it always depends if that's why you're coming down here or that's something that you need in your life. So let's also talk about this. So now when it comes to the region itself, I spoke about the propensity for it to rain a lot. I would say that, and you could see, I haven't been out here that long, but it is extremely humid, extremely hot. I would say that it's one of the hottest places. Obviously, I'm not Magellan, but I know where it pretty much lays on the equator, Indonesia. So it gets very, very hot, and it's very, very uncomfortably hot at times. So now that we spoke about how hot it is, right? What happens now with that, the byproduct of it, is that if you're not into insects or critters, I like to call them, that you've really never seen before, Bali's not for you. Because most of the stays, for most of the people that are going to come down here, it's going to be a hostel, a homestay, a villa, ground level. Unless you live out here, you might get an elevated condo, but keep in mind, those are pretty expensive. Once again, I don't know what your wallet is like. So you're going to hear things, you're going to see things like spiders and these like little lizards or big lizards that are crawling all over. As an example, a story, which I thought was a little strange that it happened, but it happened, is that usually I'll eat and then I'll take something takeaway because I have a tendency to get hungry at night. So I put my quesadillas, which were in a bag. They weren't enclosed. Keep that in mind. The box wasn't open. So I left it out for maybe 2 hours, and I was like, you know what? Let me eat. There was about 300 ants that somehow got in there and were all over the box. So obviously I didn't eat it. I had to throw it out. So if you're going to do anything with food, right? Anything with food, obviously it's got to stay in the fridge, or if you're thinking ahead that you're someone who likes to do certain things like that, there's something called travel pouches. So now I spoke about insulated bags. I just had to switch out my camera real quick. One thing you don't want to do is something like this. So what happens is that people don't realize when we talk about critters and we talk about this region, and I mean, this goes for any region, but it's more applicable here because it's so hot. And like I told you, the ant story and the critters, etc., is that what people don't realize, people are animals. Not saying I'm an animal, but people are animals and they leave food around. I guess they don't want to leave it in the room, or they just don't care. Is that it attracts bugs, it attracts this, and so just keep that in mind regarding safeguarding or securing a hygienic environment. So now a lot of times, since I kind of fall in the age range, I'm not 50 yet, I just say I'm 50, is I'm about 48 and a half, soon to be 49. So a lot of the times, when we look at the analytics, I fall directly in the middle of the people that watch this channel. So a lot of times when it comes to Bali, it gets this reputation. There's a lot of douches, there's, influencers. So what I could say, honestly, is that I thought I loved myself until I came out to Bali. It's like everyone, you could just see the energy and the movement is that everyone is very self-absorbed, self-important, because they're kind of in their own little bubble of, alleged greatness. And I don't mean this in like a negative way. I'm explaining to you because I do these videos. So like you say to yourself, you know what, I got 3 weeks vacation. What do? I want to go to Southeast Asia. Should I spend 3 days in Bali or should it be 2 weeks? So what I like to do is give a complete overview. And all I could say is that, Bali has its charm. It has its chaos or negativity. So my opinion is that it's a younger crowd. Everyone is basically, it's going to be me looking at you, you looking back at me, looking at you, because everyone's in this competitive cycle of that I want to be the queen or the king of Canggu or Bali. It's just what it is. So now, once again, if we flip back to something positive, is that most of the people here speak English to some degree. And the reason why I bring that up is that in Thailand, that could be really very, very variable. And English is a rarity there. So maybe like what it is with the, I can only speak to the female/male, I guess, is that being here reminds me of being in the Philippines. The English in the Philippines is better, but it's the same type of, in my opinion, same type of prototype. Even though Indonesia is Muslim and I believe the Philippines is Christian, they remind me of the same type of person. Filipinos got a little bit of a smaller schnozzle on them, and the nose out here in Indonesia is a little wider, but that's just me digressing for a moment. So now when I talk about, people really looking to up their level and be, sit on the top of the mountain, is that, like I said, the gyms out here are pretty well equipped. I thought they had really good equipment, really good vibe. Once again, more on the expensive side because a lot of them come with a pool, they come with the sauna ice bath. It's a whole community that they're looking to set up. When it comes to the mixed martial arts, you have Bali MMA. I was training at Z-Lot, which is in Mungu. I'm also going to be training at Bali MMA, picking up privates, but it is out here. But once again, the privates, if you're going to do Muay Thai or any personal training, is going to be much more expensive than as opposed to Thailand. But once again, I keep going back to this because I was just in Phuket and it changed once again for the worst. If you watch one of my other videos, which is about a year ago, I only lasted 2 days and I only lasted 4 days in Phuket because to me now, even though everything's moving up north, like to Bang Tao, big gym, I don't know how much attention you would get there regarding training, but that's a conversation for another day, is that everything's moving up north because if you go to Patong, it's pretty much inundated with certain type of people that sometimes, if you watch the news, becomes very distasteful on what's going on. So now regarding communication with people that you might want to meet, everything's online now, is that obviously Tinder's in play out here. And then if you want to go deep into the indigenous, there's a app called Omi. But once again, you might have to speak the language or be meticulous with Google Translate. Line ID is not prevalent here. They use WhatsApp. So if you're coming over from Thailand, just keep in mind that you're going to have a WhatsApp number if you're going to end up communicating with people out here. Hey guys, if I could get your attention really quick. I go over the analytics every once in a while. Obviously, I've been a little MIA because I've been doing 2-a-days with the Muay Thai and trying to get down to my goal weight. But if you could find it, in your purview to basically subscribe to the channel, I would appreciate that. Obviously, like, share, And also, I'm partnered up with a platform called Buy Me a Coffee. So what that is that you would donate, whatever it is, a dollar, $2, and you'd be helping the channel. And then it could basically, if you like my layout or how I, disseminate information, I could go to other regions and it could prepare you regarding the legwork, heading to these regions. So there's mistakes that aren't made. So as we close out the video, what's important, if we have to do this, sequentially or chronologically, is not now that your trip, you put it in your pocket, you had a great time, whatever happened, is that now you have to go to the airport. I would not be one of these people to say, oh, we're only a half hour, we don't have to leave, blah, blah, blah. I would try to really be top heavy on affording yourself a lot of time on getting to this airport, because it's going to take you an hour to an hour and a half. So kind of mathematically figure out what you need to be successful, because if you get delayed on one of these flights and you're dealing with like, Knock Air, a Thai Air Asia, and the flight just, if I haven't mentioned it before, is 4.5 hours. So you would have to wait in the airport, which, to be honest with you, is not like, there's not a lot going on in the airport, so you're going to be miserable. So I would try to be ahead of that curve, get there early, hang out, and then say la vie, you're gone. Okay, so listen, I hope you got something out of this. Like I said, I apologize about, being off the grid. Certain people thought I died, but obviously here I am. So we'll talk soon, and keep yourself safe and have a great day.